Here's the reality. 1960, most of the towns were thinking about sewering. In fact,
what year is it now?
Yeah. Several of the towns I know had on their town warrant for town meeting, because we're town meeting rule in a lot of these towns, to fund sewers throughout towns to the tune of $200,000 or $300,000 per town, and each of those towns obviously voted that down, and the reason was it was too much money then.
That was 1960s dollars.
Yeah. $200,000 at that point was too much money. Now we're looking at well over $1 billion for a lot of the areas of the Cape. But the reality is that it needs to happen. We have a huge problem being in a sole source aquifer and the sensitivity of our environment to make sure that that wastewater problem is really fixed. Not only the nitrogen loading, but also the phosphorus, which affects our freshwater ecosystem. So people love the Cape. They love the environment. We got to keep it that way. And so the way I look at it is it's a cost of living here. And, hopefully a lot of our towns will find ways in the future to make it as cost effective so that everybody can still live here.
Yes. And just because there is a failed septic, it doesn't mean you can't buy the house.
No. But that's a term of negotiation, right? If there's a failed septic, maybe the buyer wraps that into the cost of purchasing the home, right? But I like to also tell a lot of my sellers when we have issues of septic and we're talking about who's going to pay for this. Most people are not going to buy a car without an engine. It's kind of expected that you're going to have a car with an engine. It's also expected that you're going to have a wastewater system for a house.
Yes.
So it probably means that if you're not willing to help improve that system when you are selling, it probably means that you're going to eliminate a fair number of your buyer pool, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And not all banks will allow for the Title V fail to happen. Some banks will allow for there to be an escrow set aside for either the buyer or the seller to fund those repairs to happen. But needless to say, if there's a failing Title V, it will have to be addressed one way or the other.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
As far as particularly for your clients coming from out of town, what are some of the biggest surprises that they have?
Again, each town is so different and so unique. I'm thinking about a contrast between even next door to each other, Harwich and Brewster. Brewster is very much, it doesn't really have a real defined downtown. Has a few shops here and there and some great antique shops and, some real boutique kind of places. Then Harwich has a really well-defined downtown with a really good defined merchants association that puts on some great events during the summer. I think the big thing that people are really surprised about is the year-round activities here on Cape Cod.
We're not all summer people.
Nope, we're not. Some are people, some are not. Again, each town has a little different flair and feel about it. Here in Falmouth, where we are right now, we have a very large percentage of very highly educated people, PhDs, because of the scientific institutions that are in town. So there are a lot of really world-class lectures and concerts and stuff that you can go to that are very intellectually stimulating. As you continue out onto the Cape, there's different festivals throughout the year, whether it's the Hydrangea Festival, see and hear about Oyster Festival, but there's lots of other things. There's boat building shows and groups that come and talk about different hobbies. They come here all year round. I know that the National Mycological Society. Mycological. So if you like to study mushrooms, they come here.
I was going Michelangelo,
no,
but
that's different.
Mushrooms.
That's different. God made these, not a painter. But yeah, the Mycological Society has their annual conference here every few years, in Eastham. So, you know, there's a lot of groups that really are able to utilize the beauty of the Cape as a way to fulfill their hobbies and their passions, other than just the boating and fishing and beaches.
Cape Cod activities. Yeah. So I guess for final thoughts, what would you say to somebody that's considering a purchase on the Cape, whether full-time or part-time? What would you like to leave them with final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Considering a purchase, I think the longer runtime that you have and the more comprehensive of a plan that you put into place, the better satisfied you're going to be.
Absolutely.
We sell houses and buy houses year round. There's definitely a busier season, which tends to be in the spring.
Yes.
But we sell houses in December. We sell houses in the middle of the summer. It really is about putting that plan into place to make sure that what your goals are going to check all those boxes. And it doesn't mean that things aren't going to change, but coming up with your team, you're definitely often part of my team. I often recommend you because you're excellent at what you do. But having that pre-approval ready to go, kind of understanding what the consequences of buying that home, you know, what needs to be fixed, stuff like that. What is your vision? Are you looking for a new construction? Very few of those on the Cape, and you're going to pay a premium for that. Our housing stock tends to be older, and because of that, typically people say, well, I don't really want to do work. Well, guess what? If you're looking in a certain price point, you're either going to have to do work or you're going to have to pay for it, right? Putting that plan together of kind of what your vision is really important. What I often do is when I get a new buyer, I try to go through with them, okay, what are your goals? Where are you looking? And why are you looking there? Because what I often find is it's because that's all they know, right? Let's take the time, hop in a car, go visit areas, get down to the real nitty gritty about focusing about where you see yourself. Because people's sense of place is so unique. It's so personal that just because you have always lived in a ranch doesn't mean that you may end up with a ranch here.
Ranch style home.
Yes.
Not cattle.
We don't have cattle here.
Not many anyway.
No, not many. Although I'd like to meet some. Yeah.
But we do have, this is a very unique market in that it's popular for primary, for people that want to move here and live here full time. It's popular for second homes.
Yep.
For summer activities. It's popular with investors.
Yep.
Because of summer rentals or short-term rentals.
Right.
As well as it's a difficult market to find year-round rentals. So again, it attracts investors for that reason. And finally, it's a popular retirement destination as well.
Correct.
And so it tends to be pretty competitive, particularly at affordable price points, but important that buyers know what it is that they want, need, desire, so they can make decisions quickly.
Correct. Yep. And so again, putting that plan into place and being flexible, you know, I mean, there are some neighborhoods that you only have 1 or 2 homes turnover in a year. If that, right? There's also kind of what your goals are to be flexible in terms of what your needs are. I found a lot of folks that I remember this one guy many years ago who said, I don't like white houses and I don't like ranch houses. Guess what he ended up buying?
A white ranch?
A white ranch. Yep. Loves it. Loves it. And it's because of the other things that he wanted to do in that place. He loves mountain biking. And I know that it might sound weird, but we do have some really good mountain biking areas.
Amazing mountain biking
here on the Cape. You know, it's technical riding in some cases,
not necessarily mountainous,
but not mountainous, right? Exactly. But we found a house right with a trail that goes into a huge, popular mountain biking area right there, and that's what the draw was for him. So, if that's what makes your sense of place, then letting your agent or whoever's representing you help navigate you through that is really important. Yeah. So I have I don't know when we're going to cut this video and edit this video. So I'm just going to say I'm Ryan Mann with Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm here with Rob Foos from Sparrow Mortgage, a local lender here in Falmouth, but you lend a lot of places.
Yes, I'm a mortgage broker, and I'm licensed in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and Alabama.
Wow, that's very cool. I really like working with Rob. I find him extremely dedicated not only to the clients and the process, but very kind and very willing to cater to the buyer's needs in terms of when to meet. You know, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of my deals come together at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night. And I might need some tweaks to that pre-approval. I need somebody that's going to pick up the phone and be able to work through that with me at odd hours, right? And Rob has time and time again been able to do that. So
real estate tends to happen on weekends.
It does.
And
it does.
After hours, not during the normal 9 to 5.
And I think real estate professionals, and I'm not just talking about agents, but everybody that's part of the team. So the lender, the attorney, inspectors, they need to be they need to be flexible, that you're going to get a call at 7:30 on a Saturday or a Sunday. And, our families, while they not always love it, they understand it because that's the business we are. We're here to help people when they need help.
Yes.
Right? Just because I don't think a lot of people realize the differences. People will say, I want to introduce you to Rob Foos, this lender, really great guy. Oh, I have my bank. I'm going to go talk to them. What's the difference between you and a bank? Aren't the rates the rates? I mean, is there anything more than that?
Well, certainly there are differences in costs, but first I'll speak to the difference between a bank and a mortgage broker. And I'm a mortgage broker. And so as a result, I work with a handful of banks regularly, which means I have access to all of their products, all of their programs, and similar to if you were to get a contractor to do a job, you have a choice of quality, speed, and cost. You could pick 2 out of those 3. And it's very similar in the world of mortgage finance as well. You can pick 2 out of those 3, but you can't get all 3 every time. And so I'm able to find the right product, the right program, the right partner for the clients that I work with because I'm shopping their scenario around.
Right. Okay. So, I also oftentimes hear from folks that they're going to talk to their bank because they have a long relationship with that bank. And I appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Why would someone come to you really if they have that relationship with the bank? What's the purpose of going to a specific somebody that's lending? What would be the number one difference besides being able to shop the rate around? What's the difference?